morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, October 1st. A looming government shutdown means lower stocks this morning, even after all three major indices were able to pull out wins to end the month yesterday. During regular trading, the Dow added 81 points, the S&P 500 ticked higher by 27 points, and the Nasdaq gained 68 points. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. Listen, we're watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.5% this morning. The weakness is there. We know it. The fact of the matter is when, you're down 0.5%. Now it's only down 0.38%. So it's a little better, but, we are weaker this morning, definitely. And, a lot of it is due to the anxiety over the government shutdown. Now, both sides are dug in. There's no discussions going on. It looks like it's going to be a long one. I mean, it could last a month. It could definitely last a month. But we'll have to wait and see how the market starts to react to it. But we have earnings coming out later this month, so I'm not too concerned that this is going to be a long drive negative for the markets. I think this is just kind of temporary, and the markets will see it. On the economic front today, we get the ADP employment report, and that's going to be the only employment report for the week due to the shutdown. So that could be very interesting. Pharma stocks, hey, we're seeing gains in pharma stocks. The White House yesterday announced an initiative called Trump RX to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Pfizer has already agreed to, participate. Other manufacturers are said to be in discussions with the administration. It's probably a good idea. The only issue is if you had, if you signed up for, Trump RX, would the government shutdown prevent you from getting your meds? I mean, I think that's a question that's going to be asked. The White House, they withdrew their original nomination for the head of the BLS, mainly due to political resistance. That guy, E.J. Anton, he was just too disruptive. And, his findings were not agreed upon, were not agreed with by the standard practices. And, it was just too much of a reach for this guy. And, pulling that nomination was a good idea. Today, October 1st, we're starting to see the tariffs on large trucks, patented pharmaceuticals, and home goods. They all take effect today. Amazon announced a new lineup of Echo devices at that product event I told you about yesterday. Honeywell sets October 17th as a record date for that spinoff of Solstice Advanced Materials. On the earnings front, Nike had a positive report, but they did, warn of financial impacts of tariffs. After the bell today, you got Levi Strauss, ticker LEVI. They're going to be releasing. Turning your attention over the European markets, we're seeing green in Europe. They were flat. They opened up really slow, but have since gained some momentum. You're looking at the DAX; it's up 121 points, or 0.5 or 0.5%, 0.50. The FTSE up 59%, up 59 points, or 0.63%. The CAC in Paris up 34 points, or 0.44%. Healthcare stocks, pharma stocks, they're really showing some outperformance this morning. That's good to see. Look at it, Asia. Volumes in Asia were off yesterday. The Nikkei was open. The Nikkei fell 381 points at 0.85%. The yen is strengthening. That works against equities. They are being concerned about the shutdown of the U.S. Government, but their manufacturing PMIs came in weak. They fell to 48.5 in September. And then you look at Hong Kong closed, market holiday. You look at China. China's closed, and China's going to remain closed through October 8th. They're going to be closed for a while because of this holiday. Hong Kong markets do open up tomorrow, though. And then we're turning our attention over to oil. And oil is weakening again today. This is the third consecutive session. You got oil. WTI at $62.11. It did break 62 earlier today. Brent is trading $65.74. There's two factors going on here with oil prices. The biggest really is OPEC. There's an OPEC meeting coming up this weekend, and the focus of is said to be on a discussion where they're going to be talking about increasing production volumes again for November. Wow. And then you have the EIA stockpile, the EIA stockpile data. That's not coming out today. We did have the API data that came in last night that showed that inventories fell by 3.674 million, but the production is really increasing. It spiked to an all-time high yesterday, last month. So we're seeing some real supply concerns on, the supply demand equation, because demand's just not keeping up with supply, which is why we're seeing oil prices fall. And both contracts are down over 0.4% this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, as we start this new month, that government shutdown is really the thing that everybody is watching. You pointed to anxiety around that really is creating some caution in the markets, and coupled with anxiety about the overall health of the economy. Being able to access this data about the latest indicators that the Fed's going to be using. So the markets have that on watch today. But we can hear from your opening, there's plenty of other information to be watching, a ton on the economic front. And, earnings are still happening. So we do want to get there. Nike was one you pointed to, and another big retailer due out. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Well, yeah, we can talk about Nike. I mean, Nike did beat by 22 cents. They did do it on higher revenue. If you look at the stock this morning, and Nike is higher by 4.5%, 4.47 percent this morning. Um, but Nike sales did rise, but they did warn of continued weakness in where? In China. That's not positive for them. The tariffs, they're going to be adding, $1.5 billion for the fiscal year. That's not positive for them. So as a result, you're it's higher. I don't know if we'll be able to hold these gains, but the stock is really weak. It's been weak for a while. But Nike positive on after last night's earnings report. In terms of upcoming earnings, I mean, the only one really coming out, Levi Strauss, LEVI, is coming out after the bell. Their EPS is 31 cents. Expected move is 9.66%, but the put call ratio 3.72. That's negative. You had almost 4,000 puts to 1,000 calls. I don't like to see that going into earnings. That when you see a negative ratio there, it's a warning sign. It's a warning sign. It says stop, and it won't make my list for a pick of the day when I see a red flag like that. But Levi Strauss due out after the bell today, Emily.
Bill, now on to the economic front, which includes economic indicators, at least one private report, because there's a question mark around these government reports. And as we mentioned, being able to gather this data is important. Looking at the overall health of the economy and getting clues on what the Fed is going to be doing next. Those tariffs went into effect today. We kind of put those in the economic bucket as well. And, waiting on this government shutdown. So this is really a number of things happening under this umbrella. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
You just got to talk about the government shutdown. I mean, it's going to delay the release of several key government economic reports. We're talking the weekly jobless claims for Thursday. That's not coming out. We're talking about the highly anticipated non-farm payrolls report on Friday. That's not coming out. But today we do have at 8:15 a.m. we get some private sector reports coming out, like the ADP employment report. That ADP employment report is expected to be positive by at least 48,000 new jobs. So that's positive. And I think that number's a little light. I think it can come in better than that. And then you get the ISM manufacturing index. That's coming out at 10 a.m. Forecast is for that to come in at 49.2. Okay, that's positive. But yesterday we got that consumer confidence report. I mean, which was the last official government report. I mean, it declined by 3.6 points in September to 94.2, lower than the 96 estimate, and was really at its lowest reading since April of 2025. So but we'll have to see. But we don't have any government reports coming out in the near future. But as soon as that the budget deal is worked out, we'll start getting the reports again. But for now, we're relying on the private sector reports, Emily.
That ADP report will be widely watched, often looked at as a precursor to the non-farm payrolls. But today, that's the data point we have to be going by without those government reports. But one area where we can continue collect data, news, and information are the day's other market-moving headlines. You're using your NewsWare build to gather those economic reports, to gather those earnings reports, but also things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks, and what I'm seeing is 23 lower, 6 higher, and 1 unchanged. Then you turn your attention, you're looking at your FANG stocks to see if there's any activity there. Yeah, there's activity. It's all red activity. It's all in the red. Everything's down about 0.5% this morning, which is, correlates to the S&Ps, which could, fall 0.5% this morning. So, yeah, we're negative. But you look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple, Google, Meta, um, they're going to likely face lawsuits over their casino-style gaming apps. Is a story that's out there. Amazon is doing a deal with FanDuel to expand NBA on Prime deal, with real-time bet tracking. I don't think this is a big, mover for the stock, really. Meta Platforms said to be requiring chips from startup Revos. Tesla, TSLA. This is interesting because, Tesla is, showing some weakness this morning. But, their sales rose in France and Denmark last month for the first time this year. Sales are up 2.7% in France and 20.5% in Denmark. That's kind of positive. Then we're looking at Dow Jones 30 stocks where Amazon released a new lineup of their Echo, speaker that they offer at that product event yesterday. IBM and AMD, they're collaborating on the next generation for AI infrastructure. 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing, they're joining the Semiconductor Packaging Consortium, Joint 3. Interesting. And Goldman, let's talk about Goldman for a second because it's October 1. They released an update to their conviction list. They added ABT, APD, Hershey's, HSY, Madison Square Garden, MSGE, but they removed PINS, Uber, and OS from that conviction list. In terms of merger news, ACLS, Apple, Charlie, Larry, Sam, they're going to be requiring VECO Instruments, ticker VECO, in a $4.4 billion deal. Honeywell, they're spinning off a division. Which is going to be go public on October 30th. It's called Solstice. It's going to trade under ticker SOLS. I believe shareholders of record of October 19th get some of that stock. In terms of catalyst calls today, Citibank opened up a positive upside 30-day catalyst watch on Polaris Industries, ticker PII. They also open up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on AppLovin, ticker APP. That's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Kicking off a new month here, but a lot of caution in the air. But you're going to look for some opportunities. So, Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Wynn Resorts, ticker WYNN. William Yellow, Nancy. Okay. The casino revenue in Macau was up 6% in September. In Nevada, gaming revenue was up 5.49% in August. And you look at the call volume yesterday and you saw 16,479 calls traded to 5,445 puts. Not 3-1, but close. Open interest 184,915 versus 109,309. Again, that's positive. Major brokers are raising price targets. I like to see that. That's also another positive factor. But I think that this gaming revenue isn't really priced into the stock. The stock is really being priced in. Is moving off of the shutdown right now, but you got a really wide spread, 127 to 128. If I can get in, At 127 or under, I mean, I'll pay up to 127.15. I mean, I think this could be a winner. Wynn Resorts, ticker WYNN, William Yellow, Nancy. That's my pick of the day, Emily.
Wynn Resorts, it is, Bill. Looking for a sector there. Given all that is going on in the markets, we will follow that one along with you today. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day and see how September ended up. So stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, what do we see here? Walmart in the U.S. to eliminate synthetic dyes from its private brand. RFK Jr. will make a press announcement on that. Peloton is up 4% at PTON this morning after launching Peloton Pro Series. That won't hold. Prosperity Bank shares to acquire Southwest Bank shares. There's a couple M&A stuff going on. There's also Halo, HALO. They bought out a company this morning. Albertsons, ticker ACI, they announced a recall of multiple deli meats over listeria concerns. Sanofi, SNY, they were raided by EU officials in France and Germany over flu vaccines antitrust probe. Cardinal Health, CAH, they're going to build a flagship pharma plant in Indianapolis. Qualcomm got a victory over ARM in their licensing dispute. And Morgan Stanley, the Fed is reducing Morgan Stanley's stress capital buffer to 4.3% from 5.1% after they started complaining. U.S. auto sales are expected to rise about 6% in the third quarter from a year ago. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and dive into trading today, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was RPM International. At last check, we're still waiting on their earnings to be released this morning. They are expected to release before the opening bell. But when we look at yesterday, there was a chance for a gain there. It is trading off a little bit this morning. But Bill, how did your call work out?
I mean, it worked out yesterday. I mean, there's the fact of the matter is the stock opened up at 117.30. Now it fell down to 116.53, and I mean, I remember I said my entry point was 116.50, so I was 3 cents away. But you got to realize that it's hard to hit those numbers right on the dot. But I said 116.50, it fell to 116.53, then it ran all the way up to 118, and then it closed out at 117.88. And then if you saw it in the aftermarket last night, I saw a print at 119.70. Well, listen, we'll go for 1% here. We're not going for home runs. We're going for bunts. We're going for singles. Consistency. So you know what? You look at RPM, it was a winner yesterday. Win. So I was very happy, Emily.
When it was, and Bill, as you mentioned, consistency key here, at least looking for that 1% gain daily. Sometimes we do hit those home runs, but again, consistency. So with that, September had 21 picks, only 2 real losses, 3 flat trades. And if we toss out those flat trades, Bill, you're looking at a 94% win rate for September. Not bad. I will take it. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Wynn Resorts pick of the day and see how October starts off. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.